Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. I'm your host Khalid Maiden, and this is the preview show where we talk about South Africa versus Sri Lanka. It's the second test at the Wanderers, so we are all going to look forward to the bull ring. Unfortunately, we can't be there. It's one of the best stadiums in the country to actually watch a cricket match. I particularly like it a lot because of the atmosphere that you can hear through the press box. That's the difference between the bull ring and, for example, Newlands, where Newlands is almost like they could say like a fishbowl in a way. So you can't really hear what's happening outside. It's not as clear. Only if they're screaming really loudly do you hear the fans. But at the bull ring, you get the atmosphere of being in a press box as well as hearing the surrounding cheers and everything. And the bull ring can be quite loud, obviously, because of the way it is shaped and everything. So phenomenal ground. It's one of my favorite grounds to actually watch cricket matches. Unfortunately, we can't be there. But I think some lucky journalists are going to be able to watch it. No crowd, though, so unfortunate about that. But before we get going, guys, please don't forget, there's 40% of you guys that are watching this videos and all of our videos, but you're not subscribing, so I don't understand what the reason is. You guys have to go hit that subscribe button, please, and click that notification bell for all future videos. Now, let's get into it. So, obviously we're going to talk about the next test. If you guys want to help out and you want your comments to be obviously seen, you can click that dollar sign in the bottom right hand corner underneath the live chat to get the super chat so that I can read out your comments. There's a lot of news to cover for this particular match. In a way, we can kind of say that we can predict what the team is going to be, basically, with everything that has happened. So before I just start running my mouth and speak and give all the secrets away, I think what I should do is bring on my friends to come help me out. So first and foremost, Mpo, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, how's it going?
Good and you, man. Very good.
Good. Can't complain.
Yeah, I have to shout out to the patrons that have joined up. I have to say thank you to Verne Erasmus for obviously signing up to our Patreon and becoming a patron. I have to thank Shane Naidu as well for becoming a patron. Thanks a lot to you. And of course, Dylan Jansen. Thanks a lot to you for joining up and becoming a patron. Guys, if you want to become a patron and support Cricket Fanatics Magazine, like our other patrons have, the link is in the description. Become a member. As little as $2 is the smallest link. So come on up, support us. Let's keep this Cricket Fanatics Magazine alive, and let's do this together as a family and grow together. So, Paul, what is going on with the Proteas? So many injuries. I mean, Kagiso is not going to be available. We're not going to have Glenton Steerman's out. We're not going to have Reinhard van Toorn is now injured as well, fractured finger. Michael Pretorius also pulled out before the obviously after the first test. We can kind of predict what's actually going to be that starting 11. Now that there's no number 3 really competing with Rassie, I think that the batting lineup will probably remain the same. And I think maybe that now that Buren is into the bubble, I think maybe that's the only change that we might see.
I don't think you'd get to see Buren play because obviously he was isolated for COVID for about 10 days. So his loads are also just as low as Kagiso's. So I think they've just brought Buren and Kagiso in to help them with regards to getting them up to speed for Pakistan. Obviously, you're going to take Buren, you're going to take Anwar, you're going to take Luto, you're going to take Ngidi, and you're probably going to take Kagiso to Pakistan, and that's going to be your 5 seamers. Including Vian Mulder, because obviously he's an all-rounder, but those are going to be your 5 seamers going into Pakistan. So I think they're just trying to get them up to speed. I do see Kagiso playing for the Lions mid-Jan before they go over. So to Buren and probably Luto, so that might be an interesting one to watch out for. But I think it's just a way to get them up to speed, get them to manage the loads much better. But I think we're going to see the same team put out to tomorrow, unless if Saro Advi is there as cover, but he's the only other guy who possibly might be able to come in. Dwayne Pretorius, I don't think they take Mulder out, so I think it's going to be the same 11. It's obviously that's the way in which we've been spoken. I think the press conferences have come out with regards to Kagiso because everyone thought Kagiso would be the shoe-in.
Yeah, everybody did. I think one of our patrons actually mentioned it to us. Dylan Jansen actually mentioned to us that he thought that Dwayne might have left the bubble according to some social media, but I'm not 100% sure. We have to actually go check that out. Yeah, I think they're going to keep the same team. It seems like that to me. I mean, when Boucher said that specifically, And I know a lot of guys are going to talking in the comments now and saying that maybe we should field a full pace attack. Boucher made it clear that he's always likes a spinner, so I highly doubt that he's going to play an all-seam attack ever, unless the track is unless the track is going to be
No,
so busy for the
but
seamers
Khalid,
that.
but I think if you look at it, the reason why South Africa's always gone with the full pace attack was that you found yourself without an all-round option.
Yes, of course.
In terms of obviously, when Jacques Callis left, it moved to a point where you don't have a player who can bat in the top 7 and bowl a little and bowl enough 10 to 15 to 12 overs. They tried it with Andile. Andile didn't get enough. He only, I think, the one series in Bangladesh, but Andile bowled against Australia. Andile bowled like 13 overs in the entire Test match at the bull ring. And they had so that's where I think the balance is. I think right now with Vian Mulder, it gives the team such a great balance that you can afford to have a spinner there with effectively 4 seamers. Vian Mulder bowled, I think he bowled 15 overs. I think he bowled like 16 overs in the first innings, and he bowled about 12 in the second inning. So that's quite a heavy bowling load from a day-to-day basis. So if he's willing to carry that and still bat at number 7, then you don't need to then go all pacey, or you can actually have a spinner. So that obviously brings in the likes of Linda into the mix, the likes of Keshav Maharaj, especially when you're playing on the high field. So I do think that this is the best way to go. I'm always a fan of having a spinner. I think
me too.
And now with Vian coming in, he gives you the option to go with 2 spinners in Pakistan rather than necessarily going with having to try figure out the balance of the side by just having 6 batsmen and 5 bowlers. So Vian is so integral to Mark and Graham's plans. And you could, because I think he's a much better batsman than Dwayne Pretorius. If you think about the technique and everything else, I think Dwayne can hit a long ball, and he's the better of the all-rounders that we had in terms of Petlugwaya and Chris Morris in terms of batting. But I think Vian Mulder's now come into that level, and he's now ahead of Dwayne from a batting perspective. So it's I think this test is just to cement and give guys an opportunity to try and cement that style with this balance that they have.
Cool. And I think that's a balance is so important. So let's bring on our next callers. We've got Lubabalo over here. Proteas will win 2-0. And we've got Shay from Uneven Bounce. Welcome to the show, guys.
Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Yes.
Hi, guys. How's that?
Good. So, Lubabalo, let's start with
Happy
you.
New Year, guys.
A little longer. Yeah, we're good. I just want to start with you. Keep the same team or 1 or 2 changes? What would you do?
I would have loved to have KG back. I want him to bowl as much as possible before we go to Pakistan. But I'd also be tempted to keep the same team. I'm also not dropping the spinner. I want to go in with the spinner as well. Because the fact is, Keshav needs to bowl as much as possible. Because I don't think we're going to need 2 spinners in Pakistan from some of the pieces that I've been reading. So we need Keshav to be on form. We need him to be in good rhythm as well.
Yeah, so if KG KG is not going to play, they already said that in the press conference today. They basically released that the KG is not going to play. So if KG doesn't play, Shay, let me know, who would you keep? Would you keep Luto, or would you bring a guy like Buren in to get some game time before Pakistan? Or
I think you have to stick with Sapamla. I think it'd be extremely harsh to drop him for Buren Hendricks. I'm not the biggest fan of Hendricks anyway, but that being said, obviously, if you brought Rabada back, obviously I understand Sapamla making way, but I don't understand how you could consider dropping Sapamla for anyone else apart from KG. So I definitely sit with Sapamla. He did very well. Obviously, apart from that, obviously jittery start, which is understandable. 20 years old, young raw fast bowler. He quit himself very well, later on the day, and also did well in the second innings as well. He picked up 6 wickets in total, I believe. 2 in the second innings. So I very much will sit with Sapamla.
Yeah, incredible. I have to say it again, incredible character he showed. Absolutely incredible character. Lubabalo, do you have anything to say on Luto? Because I mean, you know him, you've seen him in the nets, etc. You know a little bit more about him than the rest of us. I only know him from interviews and chatting to him maybe once or twice in the KFC packet.
No, I was also surprised by the character that he showed. I know him to be a very hard worker, and that's about the only thing that I really know about him. Just on what Shay has said, I think for me is this is where good communication is going to come in as far as the coaches and the team. Because we don't have so much cricket to play, I would say I love Luto as much as I'd like to have him in the second test. I think the coaches need to decide who is the fourth best seamer, who is the next in line. Next in line seamer, that's the one who should be playing in the second test. For me, it's I want the guys that we're going to take to Pakistan to get as much game time as possible. We don't have a lot of cricket building up to that tour to Pakistan. So mine is we already know KG is our first fast bowler. We know Lungi, and then that's Anna. Who's the fourth quick that you say if you need 4 quicks, or if you need, let's say there's an injury to one of the three, who's the next best in? Is it Buren or is it Luto? If it's Luto, then he needs to play the test. But if it's Buren Hendricks, Buren needs to play that second test. We need to try and get those Oaks to bowl as much as possible. Because the other thing, I also believe that not playing enough matches does cause injuries. Apart from playing too many matches, not bowling enough also does cause injuries. So that's one of the things that I'd like us to try and work around. The coaches can just sit down with the guys because I sometimes feel players feel hard done by when you just drop them without even explaining to them. You can go to a player and say, well, this is where we are as the team. You're a 22-year-old. You still have a lot of time ahead of you. For now, you're not the guy we are looking at as our fourth best seamer. So going into the last test at home, this is what we'd want to try and do. So I'm hoping there's that understanding and there's that communication between the coaches and the players.
And that's my concern over here, because in the initial squad, Björn Hendricks was the guy that they picked. Luto only came in after they got after Glenton and injury, and of course actually only after Björn Hendricks actually got corona. That's when he got in, and so that is my concern. I think Luto played because of the so many injuries and coronavirus and all of those things that hit. I think that's the reason that he played, but he took his chance. So now what do you do in that situation? You a Lions fan.
So if you look at it, I think the Proteas have always had this policy of if you're an injury replacement, once the player comes back from injury, is fit enough, he needs to come back in. So as Lubo was saying, you need to figure out who that fourth man in line was. If it was Björn Hendricks, then it would be fair to bring Björn in tomorrow in space of Luto based on that policy. However, my only issue is whether if Björn is fit enough, based on the fact that obviously he had to spend 10 days in isolation. I don't know if he was keeping up. He has bowled a lot this season, so maybe that break came at the right time. So I'm just wary for injuries in bringing a Björn into the side over guys who've already had a game. I do get maybe for Pakistan, you might see a different starting three, bowling attack, and maybe a fourth seamer, and that might just be KG Analungi and Björn as your replacement, and Luto possibly going there in case something corona or something happens in that time. But I wouldn't have a problem if Luto was dropped for Björn because of the fact that initially, based on selection, that's what it was. Yes, Luto has put his hand up and he staked his claim. It would only be fair for you to give Björn that opportunity to respond to what Luto had done. The only other time where this policy was never followed was between JP Duminy and Ashwell Prince. I think once JP scored that 180 in Australia, they just chose to follow with him, and Ashwell had to find a way to make his way into the side in some other capacity. So yeah, so I think maybe that could be the case. But outside of that, as Lubo was saying, everybody needs to communicate. The management needs to talk to the players. The players need to understand what their roles are, and to a certain extent, maybe even provide us, the media, with clarity as to where this is going. Obviously, not too much, not to give out a lot of secrets.
Mm-hmm. So, guys, everybody that's watching, thank you for tuning in. Please smash that like button so we can start drinking a little bit, and as well, hit that super chat at the bottom right hand corner if you want your comments to be read out on the show. I'm going to bring on another caller. We've got OKG Rabada, Mr. Ravi Reddy. Welcome to the show, brother. I want to ask you a question now that you're on here. Everybody's been talking about it. If you're going to make major changes or not make major changes, what are your thoughts now that all those injury news has come out? I'm not sure if you've seen it. You've seen all of the updates?
Look, so I've seen, and a lot of rights have changed since then, but I've seen that Miguel and Clinton were released today, as well as Reina van Tonder. So,
yeah.
Well, Reina van Tonder today, rather, but I know Miguel and Clinton were also released as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if there's been any other developments since then. I was in a Rondebosch Common.
Yeah. No, they basically said in the press conference that KG won't be seen for the second.
Well, I guess I'm going to rename my... No, but why wouldn't they play him, though? Is there another injury concern, or they're just cooling him off until Pakistan, or what's the story?
Yeah, just wait quickly. Don't
do that. Don't do that.
What's he doing?
Do you wanna no, there was just a couple of people walking behind. So I had to ask you, we starved the people. We starved the people. Let them come have their say.
I have a lot of traffic here, and it's because this is the best spot where I can actually get a good connection. So you forgive me for that.
I could have sworn I saw JJ Smuts walking behind you. Is that right? He's having a net session somewhere there.
I think it's JJ and Hasaranga, I think, as well, somewhere in the background.
Oh, Hasaranga. I would actually love
giving him some throw. Yeah.
Luba giving Hasaranga tips and some tips for the first, second test. Yeah.
Guys, anyway, Luba, do you want to answer Ravi's question and then you can ask your question as well?
Yeah, just I read something. Well, I didn't finish the whole thing. Apparently they feel he needs to bowl a lot more before he can play. For me, it doesn't make sense. So they'd rather have him bowling a lot in the nets and then coming into the match and then bowling. For me, I believe it should be the other way around. I read, I think it was Quinton was being interviewed. They said they want to control his return back to playing cricket. I sort of didn't understand what they were trying to say, but we'll see. I think they have a plan, so we'll just have to trust the coaching staff and see how it goes. And with what Paul said, my question, I don't think that injury policy is still something that they still use. I think they decided to scrap it after that 2015 World Cup. Remember where Vern, I know a lot of people don't want to believe this, but it's the truth. Vern recovered on the day. He was fit. The guy who replaced him, unfortunately, was Kyle Abbott. And the policy that was there at that point in time dictated that Vern walks into the team regardless of Kyle Abbott's performance in the previous match. I know a lot of South Africans don't want to believe that, but it's true. Read AB's book. He explained it as well. But I think they decided to do away with it. I remember, I think it was Graham Smith. The requirement is that when you come back from injury, you should play. You should prove your injury. I mean, your recovery, your fitness by playing some form of domestic cricket. But I don't know because at this point in time we don't have any domestic cricket going on. So it will probably be at the coach's discretion, I think.
Yeah.
And to jump onto Luba's point, I think the reason why they brought Kagiso and the guys into the bubble was because obviously there is no cricket happening right now. I think the next round starts in a week's time.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be better to get these guys up and running, send them
If
back
any
to their
cricket happens.
franchise. That too. Well, I think level 3 you're still allowed to play sport, and in closed doors. And then they'll play for the Lions in that week. So I don't know how everyone's going to be comfortable watching Kagiso bowl for the Lions. I hope he does.
But because of the increased cases around the country, they actually cancelled obviously the 4-day competition, majority of the games. So I don't know if they're going to continue because the if you look at the South African stats with regards to coronavirus, has been bad.
Yeah, they were bad from, I think, because obviously they cancelled that last round 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that's the only other thing. But I think maybe the Proteas might end up being in an extended camp, so they'll be able to manage. Because if you listen to how Mickey Arthur was talking about how they were managing the loads for the players, it kind of felt that they felt at an international level they feel comfortable with them managing your bowling loads, i.e. I don't know how many overs you're going to bowl in a day at a session, inside this little training camp that they create. And that's what Bacho was talking about. He was talking about how you need to simulate game situations and what's an easy way to get Kagiso to bowl about 10, 12, 15 overs a day in practice, outside of having a day game, an internal squad game where Kagiso can go through his rhythms throughout the day to make sure that he doesn't get injuries. And that was Bacho's issue that he had in this period. I think he didn't have enough. He didn't have enough time to have a full day to get Kagiso and Buren back up to speed to be able to bowl those. Because obviously bowling in the nets is different to bowling, taking a break, walking around the field, and getting that game simulation. And that's what he mentioned in the press conference.
So Shay, I want to know from you anything that you want to add to that, particularly with regards to, I want to ask you about Rassie van der Dussen, because now we can see that they've obviously confirmed that Quinton de Kock will bat 5 and then Rassie's batting 3. And I think only maybe because of Keegan Peterson we had that move up the order kind of in a way. I'm not sure if Keegan at this point, I'm not actually sure if Keegan would have even gotten an opportunity, because not a lot of the new guys got an opportunity unless it was 100% needed. So what is your thoughts of Rassie in that number 3? Do you see him maybe holding that spot for South Africa?
Yeah, I think the last thing you want to do right now is throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think obviously South Africa's batting has not been strong, as we know, for a long time. I think it was commented on your videos the other day, Carly, that you haven't made 600 for 4 years. And obviously, Dean Elgar, and I saw the video today posted on the channel CFM about Dean Elgar mentioning the fact that the last 2 years the batting struggled. I think if you're going to go with, you're obviously picking your top 6 now, roughly speaking. Rassie at 3, you've got Faf at 5, you've got Bavuma at 6. I think it's after one test. I think the last thing you want to do is sort of say, okay, well, maybe we should chop and change. Look at who's outside of the kind of the 13, 14 players who are of selection for the second test. I think Rassie van der Dussen proved himself. He's still, even though he's an experienced guy, he's almost 32 years old. He's still fairly a newbie at international level. What is it, 2 years since he made his debut? His averaging is not great. I think it's about 33, I believe. Someone may correct me on that. I think it's around 33 at test level at the moment. But I think, you've shown a lot of faith in other people in the past. I mean, I obviously look at Bavuma as one of them. He's shown the goods. He's shown in the first test. I think Van der Dussen has the temperament and a technique, as he's shown for the Lions, to bat in a top 3. He's done it in South Africa as well in white ball cricket. I think he obviously performed well as well, we know, against England, start of the year, start a year ago now, wasn't it? Of course. I wouldn't be I appreciate there's obviously a lot of people clamoring for Keegan Peterson or Van Tonda when he's fit again. But for me now, Rassie van der Dussen, I think give him an opportunity. I like to give people, at least the summer, so the home summer. You can want to include Pakistan, but you've got 2 tests here, 2 tests against Pakistan, the 3 against Australia, 7 tests. If at the end, towards the end of the series, Australian series, the suffering, okay, maybe look at changes. If Anton's still playing runs when the 4-day competition restarts, then have a look at it. But I think for now, the reality is, guys, South Africa are going to beat Sri Lanka almost certainly on the second test. I'd be absolutely astonished if they don't. Sri Lanka are absolutely on their knees right now. We know the injuries. They've got like 4 or 5 guys that are out, key players that are out. If South Africa don't win this second test, I'd be shocked. and appalled, to be honest. They have to convince they beat these guys. I'll be very surprised if they don't. They're too strong for these guys, especially all the injuries. So why would you drop Van der Dusen now? Giving them an opportunity, home ground as well. Don't forget home ground, guys. I think give an opportunity, and I'm sure if you give enough time to this guy, give him an opportunity, he'll turn around his form. And I hope he can be the mainstay number 3, because I don't think Faf wants it. Even though we also
no,
captaincy. I don't think Faf wants 3. I think he's happy to be, Michael Clark, Stephen Smith, kind of 4-5, and I'm not saying hide there, but I think it suits him at that, around that level. So, sorry, I've got wrong there because the cop bats at 5, didn't he, in the first test?
Yeah,
4. Personally, I don't like the cock at 5. I like him at 6, slightly more, maybe less, pressure on him. But that's another day, anyway. But so yeah, I would stick with Rassi at 3 at least. I would say give him up until the first test for Australia, and like I said, let's see what Van Tonder and Keegan Peterson are doing for obviously for the Knights and Dolphins respectively. If they're still continuing as they have in the first half of the competition, then maybe look to make a change. But I think for now, just leave Rassi where he is. Let him get on with it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, my prediction for this match would have probably been Rassi Okwani scoring massive runs.
But also, guys, Rassi hasn't played that many tests. I think he made his debut against England. So it's about how many? 5 tests. So it would be unfair to drop a guy after playing just 5 tests.
And I needed to bring it up because I needed to bring that question up and allow you guys to give your opinions on it, because on social media, people go mental about these things. I'm showing it on Facebook specifically. I mean, it flip-flops, man. Like, people want to use averages as their medium when it suits them. For example, Rassi van der Dusen averages 70 in ODIs. Are you going to look at him like that he's that type of player, as a guy that averages 70? A lot of people don't want him in their ODI team. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, I don't understand. I mean, you want to drop a guy after 7. Yeah.
I think it's been expedited, this whole conversation, because of Raymond Tonda and people clamoring for him to make into the team. And I think if he wasn't lurking in the background, along with this massive shadow of Keegan Peterson as well, I don't think it's such a fervour to remove Rassi van der Dusen from the lineup. It's because people want to see this such high quality players waiting in the wings. People are being a bit cutthroat, I think, which I think is unfair.
And that's why I was so happy with what Boucher said. And that's why I said what Boucher said was perfect when he said that this is test cricket. You need to work for your opportunity. When your opportunity comes, you can go and try to take it. This is test cricket. You're not constantly just chop and change and experiment. Unless you 100% need to. Rububalo, you were trying to say something, and then Ravi can go.
Yeah, sorry. I don't think Rassi is struggling for form, to be honest.
No, it's not.
But there's one key thing I think a lot of people don't understand when it comes to stats. There's one very important thing when looking at stats, and that's sample size. A lot of people will see a guy who averages 15 in 2 matches and think, oh, he's rubbish. How do you judge someone after 2 matches? Even statistically, you can never judge someone after 2 matches, which is why a lot of us were shocked when people were ruling out Luto after 5 overs already. People were like, nah, he's not good enough. For me, the only concern I have with Rassi, he looks a bit too comfortable at the crease. It's worrying. It's almost like he just wants to stay there, not looking to try and not to force runs for exactly. But I don't know how to explain it. When a batsman looks too comfortable, that he's comfortable with just blocking. I don't know. I'm not saying he needs to try and score quickly, but he needs to try and fine. It's okay for a number 3 to be solid. But the kind of solid, you need to be solid and still look like, okay, we need to see that intensity. You're trying to score runs. What we saw against Sri Lanka, he looked a bit too comfortable for my liking. I don't know. Maybe it's probably how I see it. But he did look
why?
Like someone is just, it's almost like he was just sure that this is my spot and I'm not going anywhere.
You know what I think it was also? It's, you see, Rassi's been in the side, and every single time he's come there with collapses, majority of the time, right? When we've had a struggle in the top 2. When Dean and Aiden lost their wickets almost in like quickly, Dean, I mean, obviously Aiden lost his wicket, and then Dean also afterwards, shortly afterwards. It was difficult. It's difficult for a guy. I think it's difficult for a guy like Rassi to he needs to kind of switch his mindset in a way that he's batting in a team that can support him as well, that can bat around him. So like he came into the side when South Africa was struggling, and all the hype was on him, and everything was like Rassie must be our savior. Same with the ODIs. It's like he came into the ODI setup with South Africa in turmoil and struggling to find runs, and then he was the shining light. So he's almost had to be cautious in a way. But I think now when he can trust the people, the two guys above him, to make sure that they're going to score runs every single time, I think the mindset will switch then, and he can play more of his own natural game. I think it's to find that balance is going to be important. I'm glad to see in the comment section that guys are actually for Rassie, and I love that. He says basically has a tendency of being boring, laugh aloud. Let's talk about, obviously, Ravi, you want to also say a point?
Yeah, I think the part of the problem is that as South African fans specifically, we look at things in extremes. I knew as soon as Quinton went out last week, and he went out to a beauty of a delivery. What is the bowler's name again there, Luba? Just remind us.
Yeah, what is his name? Can't remember. Like, it was a very good top spinning delivery.
It's that guy who bowls one good ball every 5 overs, eh? That's the guy.
And then
That's the guy.
kidney pies afterwards. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, but it was the beauty of a delivery, to be fair. And that could get any of the quality batsmen out there. That would have got David Warner. That would certainly have gotten Aaron Finch on a good day. Labuschagne. I'm naming all the Australians for you there, but effectively, Quinny, it wasn't a case of him batting out of position. That's not why he went out. It was just a good ball on a good day on a pitch which was somewhat suitable for Saranga at that point in time. The other thing is that I knew when Rassie didn't make the milestone or didn't make the runs this time around, that there was going to be a witch hunt for him. I was waiting for that to happen. And the reality is that he only played 3 test matches, as Mpo rightfully said. He's only played 3 test matches. That's 9 innings. His last innings prior to Sri Lanka, he scored a 90-odd. So can you imagine if he managed to belt a couple hundreds, a couple tons thus far, what would we be saying as well? We'll be going the other extreme, saying he's done it all in South Africa, but he can't do it overseas.
That 90, that 190, we could just convert that 190 against England. It would have been a different story altogether. Nobody would be talking about him.
But at least Faf did a job for us. At least he got 100. It'd be nice if he got a double, but that's how cricket goes sometimes. But I think it's just about being patient. We at a stage right now where South Africa is in almost uncharted territory. They never be in a situation where they got drummed pretty much by every single opposition in a space of about 6 to 8 months, right? We've never been in that position before. The team has always been a resilient one in spite of its many challenges. And for one particular situation, we've got a case where the team is underperforming. You've got a coaching staff which is currently being raked over the coals. Then you've got an administration which is changing by the millisecond, right? We might have a new CEO in a week's time. We don't know, right? It's one of those things. But it's just about going through the punches, just allowing these guys to play a brand of cricket in which they are comfortable with, which they are accustomed to, and hopefully the results will follow. I for one am glad that Faf came to the party in a big way, because I think this is the precise moment he needed for his career, especially considering the tumultuous end of the last Test calendar year. I want to see inform Faf du Plessis. I think we haven't seen these big milestones from him, and maybe this is finally his moment to shine, because he doesn't have the burden of captaincy anymore. Yeah. But let's just see. I mean, it's a waiting game, I'm afraid, folks.
Yeah. Guys, patience is key. That's what Test cricket is about. Let's wrap this up, guys. Let's start with Shay. We go to Lubabalo and Paul, and then end off with Ravi. Just give your final thoughts before the first Test tomorrow.
Well, very exciting times in the first test. I thought obviously the likes of Markham doing very
Second
well.
test.
Pamela.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. No, I'm excited for I'm excited for the Proteas. Off the back of what happened, obviously, like Markham coming back in doing well. So Pamela Young, Mulder doing very well as well. I think he deserves a big mention for what he did with the ball. As I said before, I'm expecting a quite a convincing victory for the Proteas and a convincing 2-0 series victory. Yeah.
Luvalo.
Yeah, for me, it was exciting to see Vian Mulder back. I've always wanted him in that test side. Even though I feel at the moment he's batting a bit too low. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to see. I'm looking forward to see us dominate again. I know the bowling was not. It was not the greatest of bowlings, but I like the way how our batsmen went about it. They were not nice guys. They were not going. They were not willing to be nice to Sri Lanka just because they were struggling with injuries. They looked to dominate, and that's what they did. I'd like to see our bowling do that a bit more. I'd like to see us dominate batsmen a bit more, especially when you have a guy who can bowl 150 kicks. You expect him to be able to come at the batsman, but I'd like to see the fielding improve a bit more. I'm sure a lot of people agree with me with that when I say the standard of fielding was not. It was probably not where we expected to be. I'm looking forward to seeing us win against Sri Lanka tomorrow. Yeah, but I hope Sri Lanka is not going to have any injuries, man, so that the Urks can actually enjoy a good victory. Because at the moment we say we beat Sri Lanka, and a lot of people say injuries. So I want them to be fit for the whole 4 or 3 days, so that we can have a good win, and we can be tested.
Yeah. Umpo.
Look, I think obviously, I think if, as Shay said, if South Africa doesn't win this test, we have even worse problems than we actually came in starting with. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think for me, with any team, when you're playing a team that you know is going to be below you in terms of standard after obviously what Sri Lanka did. What the injury Sri Lanka had, and now they're playing their youngsters starting from tomorrow. It's going to be hard to motivate a team like South Africa to play tomorrow. And so I want quick starts. South Africa have always started slowly, especially when you bowl. When we've been bowling, they miss their lines and lengths. They play. They are quite wayward, and like they were in Centurion. So you want to teach the team to not be complacent, to respect every opponent. And this is where the coaching is going to come in. And this is where Mark Barch is going to earn his money, is making sure this team is ready to go guns blazing tomorrow, going through whatever motions, whatever plans that they've brought on to try and win this test match. Because test cricket, you still need to bowl them out 20 times. You need to get 20 wickets. And that South Africa can work on and do better. But you need to put pressure from day one, from ball one. You can't start at lunch. You can't start somewhere else. You need to start from ball one. And so that's the type of thing that you want. And you also want to give the batsman confidence going into Pakistan. Runs under the belt are the best currency you have. Everyone's spoken about it. When you want to go to Pakistan, you want to go with it. Even though it is Sri Lanka, it doesn't matter who the bowling attack, it's still test cricket. You want to get to Pakistan knowing that you're going to try and you're in the best form to get those 120 points in Pakistan to put you back in the World Test Championship around 4 and 5, which is a miracle compared to the way we started this championship. But I think, and that's what I want. I think that's essentially what I want. You want the team to start off well and not necessarily underestimate Sri Lanka, but be your best versions of yourselves rather than win a test match because the team you're playing was poor.
Yeah, like Dean Algo said, take the first punch and make the first punch. Ravi, wrap it up there for us.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I just read now, I think we focus quite a bit on South Africa's injury woes, but I see Sri Lanka, 4 key guys are out for the test match. And I agree with Impo's sentiments as well that in a situation like that, we should take advantage. I think the late Tony Gregg once mistakenly said to the West Indies team while he was playing, he said that we're going to make them grovel. And unfortunately for him, the West Indies retaliated in a very big way.
Yeah.
But I think in the same sort of breath, I think the approaches need to seize the moment, because the facts speak for itself. We don't have as many injury woes as the Sri Lankans do. They're literally going to come across with a inexperienced attack, and we need to take significant advantage of it. I have a prediction. I think Aiden Makram will score 100. I believe Rassi van der Dussen will also come to the party in a big way. Watch the space.
Can you just mention those guys, the Sri Lankan guys that are injured there? Do you know them?
I can tell you, yep, I've got it right here. It is Danyan Jaya the Silva. We know that he pulled out because of I think he tore a quad, I believe. Dinesh Chandamal, Lahiro Kumara, and Kasun Rajita. So 2 seamers and 2 middle order batsmen. In fact, Danyan Jaya the Silva, you can consider him an all-rounder. So that's an option as well. Yeah.
And so the guy replacing Danenjaya is a debutant, Minod Banuka. He's a debutant. The fit fast bowlers they actually have two to come through. So it's another debutant. It's Asana Fernando. It's an A Fernando. And then there's obviously Chamera comes in. He's only played 8 tests. And you've got Vishwa playing tomorrow. Suranga Lakmal failed his fitness test on Friday, so chances are he might not be able to play tomorrow. And so you've got this whole mixed bag of guys coming through trying to help Sri Lanka. There's a lot of youngsters. And so we'll just have to see what comes up. The thing about having youngsters is that you can tell them, and I know Mickey Arthur will say this, they have to. It's like, this is like a free hit for them. They just need to come out, bowl fast, and try and get in
on the
early innings. Yeah, and that's where it's dangerous because there's no videos for these guys. South Africa are going to really have to apply themselves, as from a batting perspective, on the field to try and figure out what these bowlers can do.
Yeah, so guys, that's all we have today. And thank you to the patrons who helped us bring this episode. Thank you to Shay Naidu. Thank you to Dylan Janssen. Thank you to Verne Rasmus. And thank you to Yasmin Adams for organizing this and helping us be able to produce this. And thank you to our patrons. If you guys want to become a patron, click on the link in the description and you can become a patron and help us, keep these shows going and everything on. Keep the lights on, guys. Help us. So thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell for all future videos. Download all of our latest magazines or previous magazines. Subscribe to the magazine so you can get the new one that's coming out on Monday. So the link is on the screen and in the description. Go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your updates. We have a Sri Lanka series tab that's there for you to click on, and you can get all the updates on the Sri Lanka series. If you guys have a business and you're looking to make sales online, and even if your business is offline, you can find a free tutorial on this channel. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you again tomorrow with our review show. Check you guys.